and welcome to Take Two Radio. I'm Pam, your host. I think you've all pretty much figured that out by now. And today joining me as my co-host is David, although I think I'm going to have to call you Billy or something today, David.
Yep. One of those names. I can go with Jerk.
I'll never remember that. I'll just, if I call a different name, just know that it's you.
Okay.
Because today we welcome as our guest award-nominated writer, performer, actor, and disability advocate David-Harrell. And that's why I'm having an issue. It's like when I say David, I'm going to have two people answering me at the same time. So welcome, David-Harrell.
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for allowing this David to join you guys tonight.
You're very welcome, and thank you for joining us. The funny thing is, it just seems like I'm inundated with Davids in my life, and I don't know how it happened, but my husband's name is David, my son's name is David, my father-in-law's name was David, my husband's best friend's name is David. Then I have David, my co-host. I have David, you on my line, and I can go on from there. So do you see my predicament?
It's a good name, though.
I know.
I don't see it as a predicament. I think you're blessed.
I agree. I have to agree with David as well. You are blessed with David.
Thank you. Well, for our listeners, David-Harrell is the man behind the one-man show called A Little Potato and Hard to Peel. And I'd love for you to give us some background about yourself before putting together A Little Potato and Hard to Peel. Was it being an actor something that you always wanted to do?
Well, I think I was always sort of a performer, or my mom would say I was a ham, I guess, growing up. And but I didn't think of myself as an actor. I thought of myself as an athlete. I think I wanted to be, a professional baseball player was one of the number one goals. And I think as I got older, I kind of found my way to the theater. I would do like little church musicals, with my mom, and I always enjoyed it. I always enjoyed sort of being up there. I always enjoyed the sort of excitement, but I didn't think about it seriously. And as I was in high school, this girl I had a slight crush on told me I should, audition for this new drama class because I was funny, and then I would be very cute if I was on stage. And I thought, oh wow, I could maybe have a date with this girl. But yeah. I auditioned for the drama class, and I fell in love, not with that girl, but with the theater. Actually, it was a moment of clarity, I think, in high school, that this felt more like home, like where I belonged. And I didn't feel I needed to accomplish or prove anything else on the baseball field or in sports. And so I kind of shifted in high school, and I decided to study theater in college, and worked professionally, kind of regionally. I lived in Atlanta for a while, and Raleigh, North Carolina for a while, and worked with theaters there, and then went to grad school, and then came to New York once I finished graduate school.
Wow. So you did, and what kind of classes did you take besides, theater or plays or whatever, drama is what they call it, I believe. Did you take anything else to be able to feed yourself while getting the acting job?
No.
That's the parent in me.
That's the parent, right. No, I think there was a sense of, that was part of a conversation I'm sure I had with my dad. We talked a little bit about it, but both degrees I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts and a Master of Fine Arts, and both were pretty intense in specific programs. So certainly there it wasn't a conservatory type program. It was a liberal arts education. So I took obviously history and math and English and geography and geology and things like that through undergrad. So I had a degree, and certainly, that's. I think it does build a well-rounded person. So I have done a lot of different jobs to make money or pay the bills, and sort of find my way kind of through my career as well.
Well, that's a good thing, because
Right.
I told my kids that when they were little, and one wanted to be a star, one wanted to be a football player, one wanted to be this. I said, it's all well and good. You can be anything you want to be, but just make sure you get your education, because you never know when you're going to need it.
Well, it's true, absolutely. And I think, when I was coming up, things weren't so specific. I think that the theater degree did allow itself to serve me. I mean, obviously, it certainly served me and got me in the door and got me interviews for a variety of different jobs. And I sort of found my way into sort of solo performance as well as a means to create work for myself as well.
Now, is A Little Potato and Hard to Peel your first written play, or have you written before?
Yeah, when I lived in North Carolina, I think in 2002, I created another solo play called The Quest, and it was sort of still an autobiographical show, but it was kind of a little more mythological, where I went on this quest to find two hands because I was born without my right hand. And the show, I felt that I would never have a girlfriend unless I had two hands. So at 12 years old, I go on this quest to find two hands. And so I did that for a while. And when I moved to New York, I just wanted to change the structure up a little bit. I felt like I didn't want it to make it so specific about my journey that a greater theme was left out, and so I changed the title to A Little Potato and Hard to Peel, because my grandfather used to tell us that his baseball teams as a kid were called the Little Potatoes and Hard to Peel because they were smaller and maybe not as talented, but they always played with their heart, and they never got down. They never got down, even if they won or lost, because they knew on the inside they were tough and hard to peel. And as a kid, listening to that story, I just assumed it was true. And my grandfather died when I was 12, so I never knew him as an adult. And I think what I got from that, as I thought back on him telling me that story, was it was just a metaphor for life. It was this idea to not let circumstances define us or peel away who we really are and the sort of core of ourselves. So I felt like through my specific journey, I could open it up to a more sort of universal theme, that we all face circumstances and we all face things that we can choose to not let define us. And then that became A Little Potato and Hard to Peel. So it's still an autobiographical journey of my attempt to define normal. And I think sometimes that's a journey a lot of us go on.
Exactly, in many different ways.
Right.
Whether it's emotionally or physically or mentally or whatever, we all have our little things that we need to get through and learn how to deal with. So you just put yours in writing.
Yeah. I just do this for 50 minutes a night or so. So yeah, it's true.
Well, I give you kudos or huge credit and congratulations for bringing this forth and putting it into a show, because I'm sure you've inspired a lot more people that have come to your show. Or even, if they don't have something that they feel they need to deal with, they can go home and tell somebody else that they know are going through a problem, whether it's a physical deformity or, like I said, emotional or mentally, and maybe that would push them to help them.
Right, and I hope that they laugh and they they also are just entertained in the show as well. I think first and foremost that's what I hope an audience gets from the show, that they laugh, they have a good time, and then ultimately they're moved. Whether it be a direct experience that they're feeling or experiencing at the moment, or if it's something that they've kind of gone through, that they recognize kind of a shared humanity with someone who may be a little different than them. And I think that's also an important part of it too, is that we kind of come closer, and I think theater is a great way of doing that, of really having an opportunity to share the humanity that we all have in common together for that hour or 2 hours that we're in that space, because it happens where we're all together, audience and performer.
Right, exactly. Now, I'm sure you probably get people that come up to you after the show to talk to you. What kind of feedback do you get from them?
You know, I really get a lot of positive feedback. I performed yesterday down in Georgia, actually. I performed at a college down there, and this guy waited for me for a long time. You know, I was talking to some other people, and he just kind of was sitting there waiting, and said, you know, that was it's really life-changing. I really appreciate it. And, you know, my finger doesn't, you know, work all quite the same way as most people's, and people don't really notice it, but it's something that it's always kind of been a thing that I dealt with. But it was so nice to hear your story and kind of see your journey. It gives me motivation or inspiration that I'm going to be okay, that I'm doing the right thing. I'm here in college, and I'm doing moving my life forward. So, like, things like that are always positive to hear. And so, yeah, I do. I get a variety of feedback, I think, and within a lot of different stories. And people connect to my story as an actor. A lot of people connect, you know, this idea of sport and trying to prove yourself in athletics, and then you know, the search for love too. I think it's kind of all universal.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more with that. Everybody's always looking for love, whether it be for a girlfriend, a boyfriend, or just your brother, or your sister, or friend. You know, everybody needs love, and you're always looking for that somehow, some way. You don't feel complete without it.
Right. But and I also feel like it's, you know, in the show, it's also kind of learning that that there's also a love for who you are,
right,
for the
yourself.
human being, the love of yourself, because you are who you are, and there's nothing. I mean, I think the lesson that I kind of learned through the show is there's nothing I can accomplish, there's nothing I can do to make me feel normal until I realize that my hand is one of the many differences that make me completely and beautifully normal, because that's
right.
It's who I am, and that is truly what's beautiful. So it's sort of embracing the many different and sometimes complicated aspects of ourselves, and realizing that those are who we are, and not trying to always feel like we have to fix something or prove something or accomplish something necessarily.
Right. And I'm sure that your parents were huge in getting you to live your life as normal and not hold that back as having something wrong with you and trying to hide it or fix it.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think my parents were a very big influence in my life, and in this show, in some ways, is sort of a nod to them and it's sort of a thank you to them for all that they did. You know, they didn't know anyone else who had gone through this experience. They'd never seen anyone who was born without a hand. And so they didn't have a lot of places to turn. And this is obviously before the Internet. There was no Google. They really didn't know where to go. And someone suggested to take me to a Shriners Hospital, and that's what they did. And I think they worked to really promise me that I was never going to be different. And as I continued to grow up, that was sort of their decision that day.